Hey everybody, you're listening to the Wombo podcast. I'm Chipmunk, and with me as always is the Mr. Gimpy.
What's up, brother?
What's happening? How are you on this fine morning?
Terrible. Damn kids, man. Damn kids.
How dare you, dude?
just fighting way too early in the morning. Like
It's
I
kids,
woke up
man.
at, dude, from, because I usually record the pod about 8:30, right? I was up
Yeah.
at 7:45. So from 7:45 till 9 o'clock, they were just fucking battling, dude.
It's just waking up with anger, dude. That's what children
it's,
do.
it's not even anger, dude. They're just like playing, and then the play gets too intense, and then both get pissed. It's the worst.
You gotta be referee. Break them up, dude.
Yeah, man.
Give them a count out.
It's a lot, bro. It's a lot.
I've been watching this with my nephews, where like the little one now will like grab stuff from the bigger one just to like anger him and like run off. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey," he's like, "Can and they're like trying to teach him to use the kind words. He's like, "Can I please have that back?" He's like, "Nah, dude." He just like runs off. Then my bro's just standing there like, what can you do? I'm like, "Bro, you gotta like step in because the little kid one doesn't know any better." But I don't say nothing. I'm just like, I just watch it happen. I'm like, that's just
Shows
nature.
violence. Kids choosing violence all the time, dude.
Yeah, it's they just want the most amount of attention if it's however they're going to get it. It's all the same to them. They don't have like that filter of like, oh, this is bad attention, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like,
right.
this is good attention. Like, they're just like, I just want to be the spotlight of the world.
True.
And to them they are. They don't know no better.
I will say, I did have a fun moment with them the other day. They've been playing. Uh, they've been playing like the 3DS and playing like old games on that. Daughter picked
You
up.
haven't gotten them a play date yet? The 1-bit?
No, yeah, that's not happening.
The crank?
Yeah, never.
It's $180, dude. You can find it.
Got some like shovelware, like character branded games for it. Like, so my daughter's been playing like this Frozen game on the 3DS, and they've been sharing that. And then since they're both getting used to platformers, and they're both pretty used to beat 'em ups as well, they've been playing through the Lego Batman game, the very first one. So that's been interesting to watch. And I haven't been helping them at all. I've just been letting them figure things out, and it's been fun seeing them kind of recognizing some gameplay systems and making progress in the game. So there's 3 Lego Batman games. So once they beat the first one, they'll move on.
It's crazy that there's not like a Lego Minecraft game yet, right? There has to be, right?
Does Lego have? It's Lego World or some shit like that.
Does it look good? Does it
like
play
that.
good?
It's Lego World Builders. I don't know. It's not made for me. It's
You're not in
the market
there.
is very skews a lot younger for those games. But from what I understand, it sold well, and I just don't think it was as big as Minecraft. But
the Quake 1 map editor, the Trenchbroom, has been my Minecraft, dude. Like, as I'm sitting here, and like I don't know, there's like a whole community, dude. I've been listening to like the podcast that people have out. They interview like other map makers. They do playthrough commentaries and stuff. And I'm like, is this my Minecraft? Is this Minecraft for people over 40? Is this what's going on? Yeah. This Trenchbroom, everyone's just on the Trenchbroom, dude. Like, or like your Hammer, or whatever you're out.
Oh, did you get the mod for it for Hammer Plus Plus then, or?
No, I got OG original Hammer at one point, and then I was like, this isn't Trenchbroom. And I also tried GZ edit, which is also like another flavor, but it creates more work. Like, it's convenient if you just want to make box rooms. So that might be the penultimate, like if you're like just like with graph paper and you want to like lay down a bunch of square boxes to like get a feel for like how spaces will interact. But then you have to spend more work going back and cleaning up, because like nobody who does any kind of level beyond like a basic level is laying out boxes, dude. Like, that's just not happening. Like, if you're making boxes, that's the worst. So it's like you have to go back and like destroy the geometry just to remake it how you would like. So I don't know. Trenchbroom is kind of slow, but it does what it does nicely. Like, you just hit shift, you extrude walls, you pull out walls with like was it alt? You learn the quick keys, and like you're like, this is really fast. Like, it's probably the fastest way to make a map out there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, the other tools are fine. Like, you probably just have to learn like the workflow and stuff with them. I don't know. All the tools are fun, bro. But it's Minecraft for old people. This is what I'm finding out.
Uh,
I don't know
yeah,
about
no,
your Legos
right,
or
right.
whatever.
How has the RPG Maker game jam been going?
I finished all of the overworld, and then I sent off an email to the professor to ask him like how he wanted the start area to be. Like, oh, this is the map. I'm not sure because like we never really, wrote a story. So I was like, how do you want to
Kind of
start the
important for an
game?
RPG.
Yeah, it's kind of important for an RPG. So I was like, how do you want like the first part of this map to be? Because it's kind of important. I haven't been checking my email, so I'm not sure if he got back to me yet. But I did that about like 2-3 days ago,
Okay,
and I haven't really touched it yet. I've been lazy. I've just been enjoying the
that's fair.
weekend. My allergies start acting up, so like I like ended up sleeping through. Was it like Friday? I think like I got home Thursday or
Yeah,
Friday, and I just like passed out.
I went to message you on Friday because I was like, oh hey, you're working on Blender. It looked like, right. I was like, oh, you're working on game dev shit. I'm gonna work on game dev shit. I clicked your name and it said, like you were asleep or whatever, you're snoozing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this dude probably is dead. I assumed. So I did get some progress on my game dev side for my auto runner for the kids. I fine tuned their running animations and I made their attack animations. I programmed in a attack so when you have enough pickups, a bar fills, and once that bar is full, you can activate your power to run through the level and not worry about the enemies that are there or things like that. Like I said, my son has punching, my daughter has like she said guns, but I gave her like elemental powers, so so she's like blasting things. It's functionally the same, but just looks different. Um,
Nice.
so I got those animations done. I'm thinking just since it's like a quick thing for my kids, I was just gonna use like a free asset pack for the enemies and not
Yeah.
waste any more of my time for it. Then I think I'm going to just start stitching assets together for the levels because it's going to be auto generated.
Yeah. You just need like whatever, a good tile set and
Yeah.
obstacles or whatever.
Think depending on how hard I want to go with it, I'll probably do like single rooms that can be stitched together and just randomized with an array, to keep going
Okay. Was this like a
infinitely.
dual joystick shooter? Is this
No. It's a side
you making
scrolling
Smash
auto runner.
TV? Like what's going on here?
No, it's a side scrolling auto runner.
Okay.
But and also I thought, if I could maybe make it a race too between the kids as well if I
Oh,
wanted to add multiplayer to it because game makers. I was looking into how to do networking, and it's actually just a kind of drag and drop plugin that seems pretty
this is
simple.
feature creep, bro. Do it.
It is feature creep, but
Do
I'm
it.
not doing that. But I was like, if I wanted to keep working on it, it would be a nice project to learn about the network functionality from Game Maker. So,
Yeah, man.
we'll see how far I get. But like every night, I've been working on it a little bit, and the kids don't know yet. One day I'm just gonna put it on their tablets while they're asleep and not mention anything. Go, hey, did you play the game with you in it? And they're like, what the hell? And I was like,
Yeah. Boom.
yeah. So should
That's
be
what's up,
good.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So
Making
it's been
progress
fun,
on it.
and once it's complete, I'll show the pod too. So we'll get a little preview. I
All
don't plan
right.
on releasing it. It's just gonna be for the kids.
What are you doing
Um,
the animations? And are you doing that in like Sprite or are you doing it right in Game Maker?
I'm doing it in Spriter.
Okay, nice. I know
Yeah.
how
So
like you've been talking about like wanting to get back in animation and stuff. So
yep,
it's like, all right. I was
yep,
like, I
yep.
know
So
Game Maker I think has some kind of solution for like
they
basic
do. They have
animations.
their They have their built-in thing. It's actually pretty solid. It's actually a very
Yeah.
solid sprite editing and you can onion skin and all that fun shit. Frame controls, all that. Like if you want to make your animations directly in Game Maker, no reason not to, man. Unless you're like already used to another program. Game Maker be
Yeah.
fine for that. I've used it for like fine tuning some things after I added into the engine.
Yeah. Instead of like
But
going all the way back and yeah.
exactly. So that's been fun. Like I said, man, it's been very fun. Just working on a project that's kind of a no brainer. You know what I mean? Like auto runners
Yeah.
aren't, especially when you're making it for like a very small crowd. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
use
I was
cases are
watching
too deep. So
somebody talking about like how they're like trying to make their first game in like Godot, and I was like, also be interesting to see how they approach this. And they just made like Flappy Birds, and I was like, come on, man, this ain't a game. Like,
I mean, it is though.
yeah,
That's one of
yeah,
those games where I think it's a newer game that people recognize, but it also teaches a lot of concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
like repeating tile sets, like
yep,
generating like a random like XY, scaling, a game over screen, start,
yep,
stop,
yep, basic
play.
gravity, inertia, all that shit
Yeah.
too. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It teaches a lot of concepts in like a few lines of code.
yeah, because I
Uh,
think for like you and I, right? It'd probably
yeah.
be a little, too easy of an exercise, but that's essentially what I'm doing with the kids game,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
getting
There's
tiles and
nothing
all that
wrong with
shit.
it.
So
And it's like
yeah,
good for like your first, and we always talk about like feature creep and like making the first game like really small or something,
yep,
uh, but then when I actually see somebody out there doing it and like trying to be like, you
you're
know,
just hating,
y-
dude.
yeah, like I feel like you're trying to do this for internet clout, but they're also just showing somebody like their learning process of like a new engine and stuff. So it's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
You, there's nothing wrong with your Flappy Bird clones.
I
Just
think
don't put
that
them on the store, right? Just
yeah, yeah,
don't put them on the Play Store. There's enough of
right,
them.
right. I would say that learning a new engine, remaking a game we've made in another engine is a really nice way to learn it.
Yeah,
Because you already know how you wanted the game to play, it already works in another thing. But if you're just switching gears, it's a nice thing to do. Just like quick remake a game you've already made.
it's
Um,
also nice to have something you're familiar with to like prototype, because I did that with Construct 2 for a long time, where I would
yep,
build something out in Construct 2 and then remake it in Unity, because I was like, all right, I understand now, like, because you know things but you don't know like all the things that you need to know necessarily. I know it's kind of
yep.
weird to say,
No. You're right. You're right. It
because
makes
it's
sense.
like I don't, like you either got to build it out like on a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, or like a flow chart, or on like paper, like something to like figure out like the underlying mechanics. But then like when you're actually like making the game, there's just things like you forgot about. Like, so
That's
yeah,
why making a game Bible is very important.
yeah, man. Yeah, so it's fun to do, fun to get out there. I was messing around a little bit with like Godot as well this week, man. Just because they have like
You're
the
always
QDAT.
switching engines, dude. You got Unity, you got GDevelop, you got Godot. What else did
I
you
like
say? Oh yeah, Trenchbroom actually has like some game functionality, right? Or
it
is it just
is,
purely
yeah,
map?
like, well, it's just a map maker, but you can like program in stuff for like entities or lights or
Right, right,
whatever
right,
to
right.
you make door switches and stuff. It's cool, man. Whatever. uh, yeah, I don't know. I was playing around with Godot because it has like the QDAP plugin. So I was like,
Yep.
how can I get a game? Can I just like make a third person game in this? Because I was like, because I'm messing around so much in Trenchbroom, I'm like, oh, I want to kind of play these maps and see how they actually feel. Because again, it's like one thing to like lay out a map, but it's like another thing to like move around and like play it and like feel how it would feel, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, maybe I can just use Godot for this. Turns out I can't. I got it working. I got like a first person controller in there and working and stuff, but then I like tried to like use their third person controller demo, and I was like, oh, this might be kind of cool. And then like it didn't work. It was giving me some errors, and I was like, this is first party template to like show off the engine, and like you guys can't even get this shit working right. Like, and like I'm sure it's like a simple setting that I just don't know how to do because I like looked
It's
online.
problem
Yeah,
in
no,
chair.
it's
Yeah.
it's 100% it's 100% me. But also when I looked up like the problem, people just like they're like, oh, use like the Flugenflogen button, and I'm like, bitch, I don't know where that is, what you're talking about, because like everything you click on gives you like new, drop down buttons, and then there's things nested within things. So I'm like, I'm sure it's one of those things inside of a thing that I need to click somewhere, but I don't know where that is. And then like somebody just saying, just click that thing, doesn't help, bro. Does not help. Like I have no idea where that is. So I'm sure like if I sat down with like I got into like their
Looked at the
Discord or
UI.
something. Yeah, somebody would help me out. Like somebody would be
Right.
like, "Hey man, just click this. There you go, boomer." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, guy." As I sit there drinking my sugar-free, energy drink with my sunglasses on indoors, using I just want to get my trench broom models working. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Shit
I just want to
happens.
make a lawnmower sim, dude. That's it.
You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. Like a competitive, uh, two lawns side by side, right? Different weeds and stuff. You got to mow the lawn, spray some weed killer on it. Just whoever has the better lawn in a certain amount of time wins. man.
You're talking about
It's
a
called the
battle royale.
The Hank Hill lawn maintenance game. You know.
It needs to be a battle royale. So like you start off in suburbia, it's like 100 people on their lawnmowers, and it starts off and like you just have a certain amount of time to mow the grass, and whoever does the best, stays in the round. And you just keep eliminating people from it.
These are free game ideas here, folks.
Yeah, man.
Throwing
Make
them
it
out
happen.
there. Just credit
Oh
the combo
man,
Wombo.
I have an actual game idea that I want to do, and it's kind of like the perfect game for me because it's like pushing my knowledge to like it'll be challenging, but I know all the pieces to make it work type of thing.
Okay.
And I got the idea from watching a YouTuber, so I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. I'll tell you about the idea after the pod, dude. Because
Got it.
I don't know. I feel like it's game changing
Okay.
in a lot of ways
Okay.
for a lot of
Okay.
people. So I don't know, man.
Nice.
Sometimes you get those ideas, and I'm like, man, I should do this, but I'm like also like that's a lot of work. I don't know if I want to do that. that would have involved me reading documentation and not being in Trenchbroom, man. So
Right. True. Maybe sticking Trenchbroom for a little longer just to get
yeah,
the.
it's kind of like you said, man. Where I've been bouncing around like a lot of different things and trying out a lot of different ideas, and I'm like, I kind of have like a vague notion of like something I want to build, as far as like, because this map building has like hit the itch where I'm like, man, I kind of want to make something a little bit bigger, and like I've talked about, like maybe looking for a team of people where I'm like, oh, if I could just white box out like rooms like on a bigger team of like have like the general map layout, like if I can do concept art and stuff, so I'm like I could generally pull together a bunch of ideas and like lay out things and then white box that out or gray box it, and then just give that to other people who want to go into like ZBrush or something and like make something bigger with like a group of people. I know that's really hard to do because I've been watching like all these like dead mods being in these engines with like Black Mesa and all these other like teams that all these other Quake mod teams as well that like show up.
Black Mesa was completed and released.
Yeah, but like
it's not.
they're still like trying to bug fix it, and like the original team that like finished it, they're like, "Oh, we're done, dude." So they're like trying to find new people and stuff, and I'm like, man, that sounds like a headache to like go in and try and figure out what other people were doing at one point. So
Way simplifying it, bro.
yeah,
I played through it. It's done. It's fine. There's barely any
all right,
bugs. I don't even think there's no game breaking bugs. Like there's nitpicking at that point.
yeah. It's like the one person who's left over who's like, "We gotta fix this, guys," and everyone's like, "We're good, dude. This is gold. We out." So
yeah.
there's always that one team member.
It's all right. I think it's just working on. The last thing they did was just worked on Steam Deck compatibility. It's kind of one of those things where you'd think like every Valve game should just work on the Steam Deck, right?
And it just works.
Yeah,
Nah, man.
yeah. It should, and I believe that they all do. I haven't actually looked into playing a Half-Life on the Steam Deck. Actually, I'd love to. When I see what I want, and man, I'm getting way off. I was gonna get to the topic, but let me just go into this real quick. So
You sound
Half-Life's
like you
fucking
would
great.
Godot, bro.
Yeah, right.
It should
Half-Life's
just work.
fucking great. Let's just be honest, right? Half-Life is amazing. My favorite of
It's okay.
fuck you.
I don't know. I've heard it called the Citizen Kane of video games, where like it was like the first game to like show like a narrative being told, like and like interactive
within the game, like the game scripting,
the environment.
Yeah.
So it's important for that reason. But as far as like modern games, bro, come on.
Still holds up.
Is he a nostalgia glass? I feel like I'm salty still from Half-Life 2 needing the Steam client and always being online. I don't know. Like you could say Steam pioneered a lot of things. Narrative storytelling, microtransactions.
They rolled that back.
DLC.
It's like first week of release.
Yeah, skimming 20% off all purchases
incorrectly.
No, negative, bro. Like you definitely needed Steam, and you always had to be online for that game. Because this is one of the reasons why.
No. They rolled that back, dude. You could be offline right now and play Half-Life 2.
Sure.
100%.
I mean, like it was like the damage was done, dude. Like they lost all the old grognards, dude. Like me in my Quake 1 maps, I'm like, this ain't like Quake, bro. It should be shareware, bro. How come I can't get a demo disc of this game, bro?
Steam is the number one platform, so I think they're fine without you, bro.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, so getting back to it before you just hated for no reason.
I'm letting people know like a little bit of the history behind it.
I miss like full single player expansions. You know, I always thought that was nice to experience the story or continue it, or in Half-Life's case, experience the same story through different points of view. So you had Half-Life Opposing Force, where you played as the military guys or the Marines who came in and into Black Mesa
Yeah,
and
was it
tried to
like
stop Gordon
blue and
Freeman.
magenta or some
And
shit?
then,
It
and
was
then
like
Half-Life
green
Blue Shift,
emerald.
where you played as Barney
It was like
to
Pokemon, dude.
who was saving a scientist and getting out. So they're both made by Gearbox back when Gearbox actually made quality.
Yeah. What
um,
happened with Gearbox, man?
they started making their own IPs and then made
Did they
oodles
make
of money with
Bulletstorm?
Borderlands. No, Bulletstorm was People Can Fly.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did Gearbox publish it? What am I thinking of?
No,
I want
Epic
to say they're
published it.
involved somehow.
No, not at all. Not with Bulletstorm.
Gearbox is like a tentacle, dude. They're like Hydra. They have
So
in every
Gearbox
game.
they made Borderlands, they made Aliens Colonial Marines, and the big thing was they used the money that Sega gave them for Aliens Colonial Marines to completely fund and finish Borderlands.
Did Colonial Marines come out busted too? Was that them?
Yeah, it's busted to this day. Fans actually came out and fixed
It
the
was like a
AI.
simple patch too, right? They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it's
It was like a
something
quote
like,
or some shit. It was like a
yeah, they
quote in
accidentally
the AI
quoted it out
code. Yeah.
before the final build. Yeah, that
Yep,
sucks.
yep. Yeah, and Gearbox refused to go in and change anything. Like, this is broken as shit. And the Aliens franchise has after Aliens vs
They
Predator
just kicked
2.
it down the road. You're like, you know what that is? Sega's problem.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have
exactly. So Sega sued Gearbox for a shit ton of money. I believe they won that case, honestly. But yeah, fuck Gearbox, dude. like,
hey man,
people are like,
like
oh,
there's
Borderlands.
nothing wrong
No,
with wanting to
they
make your own stuff. Like,
no, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's fulfilling a contract. And there's just being shady as fuck about it. Especially like I'm a big fan of the Aliens franchise, and like Aliens versus Predator 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And they just ever since then the franchise has been just like this budget release. Like Aliens Fireteam was fun, but it's definitely a budget game. And yeah, man, like. Long story short, fuck Gearbox. They
this
also bought.
reminds me of like a quote I heard because I was listening to the something about like Duke Nukem Forever because like
Yeah, they bought Duke.
the
That's what I was gonna say. They bought the Duke
yeah,
Nukem
because
license.
like
Yeah,
2001 build got leaked, I guess, recently online. So like it's been coming up a little bit.
like a year, but yeah.
And then they're like showing like the guy who was like responsible for the franchise like back in 2001. They're like, so what's taking the game so long? He's like, he's like kind of joking about it. But then like at one point he's like, yeah, we've just been playing Warcraft. And I'm like, that's probably real. He's been playing a lot of World of Warcraft online. And I was like, when does it become like a scam where you're stealing money from publishers to fund your World of Warcraft addiction? Like I don't know.
On
Like I'm
top
sure
of
like
that, though, Duke
work
Nukem
was
Forever
probably getting
is.
done.
We might need to do a whole pod on Duke Nukem Forever, dude. It's
Yeah.
so that is the ultimate example of feature creep. So
Yeah.
the original had, but like long story short, maybe we'll do a pod on this.
Was it feature creep? Because it seems like almost
Yeah,
a
no,
grift.
100% it was.
Like I don't know. Like all right, like this is hypothetical, right? We're joking around. Don't sue us. But it sounds like from the outside looking in, it looks like they just made tech demos to grift publishers to like fund their World of Warcraft addiction. They all just like sat around playing World of Warcraft, and they're like, "All right, let's make a demo for like E3 to get like another publisher in on this to like fund another round of
So
our
here's the
six-figure
big
lifestyle."
here's the big driving force of why Duke Nukem Forever took forever. Um, when Duke Nukem 3D came out, it was cutting edge.
Yeah,
And to some, it like the build engine was very pretty. It did things that no other engine at the time could do, and it was right before Quake came out with true 3D.
it was like 2-3 years before Half-Life. That like
Sure.
2000 build. I want to say like so
Are you
like the
talking about Duke
interact
Nukem Forever or Duke Nukem 3D?
3D.
3D was in the early 90s, dude.
Yeah, and the
3D was like 93. Half-Life came out in 98.
98. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I want to say Forever was like in the works, and that 2001 build would have been like a couple of years before Half-Life.
So here's
in the timeline of things.
Half-Life. What do you mean? The 2001 build was a couple years before Half-Life. If Half-Life came out in 98.
Yeah, because they were working on it, dude. Like the 2001 build that people saw at E3 was being worked on before Half-Life. So it would have been if they had gotten it out. Besides, like, because like the original date for that damn game was like, oh, we'll have it out late '99, and then it's 2001, then it was 2003. They just kept kicking it down the road.
So here's what happened. So
a lot happened.
The lead designer, Duke Nukem 3D was considered a tentpole in PC gaming, and in terms of like graphics, animation, build quality, things like that. It was like one of the big tentpoles. You know, it was Doom. Doom was like the end all be all of FPSs, and then Duke Nukem came out and you know, some people say took its lunch. Obviously, there's the big rivalry between 3D Realms and id at that point, but you know, it's like a mutual kind of, they're making each other better. And Duke Nukem 3D came out, and you know, with the shareware model, just fucking did gangbusters with actually having a real character. So they wanted to be the best graphics, best gameplay, most innovative level design ever on release, right? The problem is it released Quake, and the Duke Nukem team was like, okay, we need to have better graphics than Quake, so they made a new engine. And then Unreal Tournament came out, or Unreal came out, the original Unreal, and they're like, oh shit, this game actually has a narrative. So like, okay, let's build a narrative. And then Half-Life came out, and they're like, oh shit, this game has a scripted narrative. It's actually really fucking
interactive
good.
Story, yeah, dude. Like interactive
they went back to the drawing board to redo it again.
They like and then stole their whole lunch, dude. It was like took part of their lunch, and then they came and took their lunch money and everything else, dude.
Yep. So then when they got ready to release again, Doom 3 footage came out, and they're like, oh shit,
the game changed, man.
So they're like, we need to have better graphics than Doom 3, and they went back to the drawing board again. So it also
weird, right? Like nobody would have cared. Like nobody was like, oh, like it just seemed like unrealistic expectations that they put 100%. On themselves.
100%. Like, and then the project kept getting bigger and bigger, and they refused to cut anything. Yeah. So
except the engine and like all their work, they're like, well, I guess we gotta redo it all again.
They kept scrapping full engine work. So this is they were a big studio back then, and this is why I'm
by all accounts, like the game was like 70-80% done, like, and they would scrap it, and they did it like 2 or 3 times where they had like almost a full ass game build done, and they're like, well, I guess we gotta go back to the drawing board because something came out, and it's like, really, dude, you just sit in your office all day. We call it seagulling. You just come by, shit on everybody's ideas, and then can fly off again.
Yeah, there's something about knowing your competition, but there's also a thing of stay in your lane and get your project done, man. Like with Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, right? They were both making like arena shooters before that became a phrase, right? And they released pretty close to each other. But instead of id looking at Unreal or Unreal looking at id going, what are they doing? I should say Epic, but they just stayed in the lane. They made competing games. Were like, okay, but may the best game win, and they both studios made the 2 best fucking shooters of all time.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like you're competing with like literally I don't know, but it's like hindsight 2020, right? You don't know you're going against like the best in show ever at the time, right? So you're like, oh, these are my colleagues. These are people like I talk to. Like, hey, this is fine. You know, little did you know that it's like going to be the best shit of all time. You're just like, so it's like you're holding yourself to like the standard of your peers, but like it's like, bro, your peers
they're making
history.
Yeah. So it's still could have released it because I think especially in that time, Duke Nukem was such a popular character that characterization would have propelled them enough. And Duke Nukem has very unique weapons, you know, like the freeze ray, the shrink ray, shit like that. Having that in full 3D would have been really cool. And having it, like, to this day, Duke Nukem multiplayer is fun as shit and very unique with the weapons you have.
It's
Destructible environments was the other thing. Red Faction was the other game they wanted to do better than.
He's a stand-up of like an 80s action hero, right?
Yep.
So it's like... Just so do that. I feel like it still works, but like we don't even do 80s action anymore, right?
No,
like,
it's moved to like product of his time. Yeah,
we've moved to like every guy as the hero now, right? So we want like your Jason Bournes or like your even like Bond. They made him more of a believable action dude, where it's like, oh, he just needs to be more military man, dude, generic military person, or like was it the movie like Nobody or what was the other one? The big one with Keanu Reeves.
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick, where it's like, oh, it's just some regular dude who like uses gun kata and his wits to win the day, and he also gets beat up. Whereas like 80s was like an unstoppable, unmovable force type of thing, where it's like, oh, we're gonna send in this dude who looks like a robot from the future, dude, or it's like the penultimate human, like a universal soldier, like your Kurt Russells or whatever, you know.
Universal Soldier was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was it?
100%.
Was Kurt Russell in?
Escape from New York.
Okay, yeah,
Stargate?
Escape from New York. Yeah, he is also 80s action man.
Big
dude,
Trouble
whatever.
in Little China.
Yeah, your Schwartz, your Stallones. Yeah.
Yep,
So he was just that dude. That was Duke Nukem. He was just. It was kind of like a spoof of those movies, like lampooning it. So I guess like if you would do that game again, it'd be more of like a setup of
Evil Dead quotes or Army of Darkness quotes.
Yeah. It would be like for modern times, it'd be like you sending up like Jason Bourne and Mission Impossible and like this type of stuff instead.
It's funny you mentioned Mission Impossible as a modern thing, but it started in '96.
I mean, that's modern for Doom, bro, or for Duke.
Right. I feel
Duke Nukem's stuck in like 85.
The spy genre was going to take off with like Joanna Dark with Perfect Dark, but Rare, like with the Microsoft acquisition and then like forcing Perfect Dark Zero, they really fumbled it. Like I think if that game could have done something like we would have had more spy themed games.
Like Operation Payback at
I was gonna say No One Lives Forever. No One Lives Forever 2 perfected the spy genre.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, but I think Joanna Dark would have done a little more for it than what happened.
I blame the expansion pack, bro, on that. They're like, you need this expansion pack for the Nintendo 64 to even be able to handle all the polygons on the screen, dude.
It's the textures. It
was also towards the end of that life cycle. I feel like maybe if they had went out for like PlayStation 2 or something, it would have been like a different timeline of history. It would still like everything would be, instead of like your Call of Duties, everything would be spy genre stuff to this day.
Dark.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. Perfect Dark had unique weapons as well. When I think about it, like no other game had weapons like that.
Yeah, they stopped really innovating on like fun games because of the military shooters. They're just like
like Perfect Dark literally had a weapon that was a wall hack.
Like proximity ones. Like, we needed another Turok, dude.
They made another Turok. It sucked ass. Yeah,
but like no, Disney owns it now, so we'll probably never get like a proper OG dinosaur hunter, but man, could use another Turok.
Does Disney own it?
Yeah, bro. They bought it up. So they made like a studio and then 08 happened with like the market crashing. So they closed down a bunch of studios that they made. So they're like, oh, we're going to build up our own gaming franchises instead of outsourcing it. And then 08 happened. They're like, close it down. And now they just kind of license things out to people again. So I know people come to them with like different Turok ideas all the time.
DreamWorks owns it. DreamWorks. That's Steven Spielberg's studio.
DreamWorks, doesn't it?
No.
DreamWorks is maybe they got it at some point. How Disney owned it at one point. It was just like in a holding company at one point. And they leased it out to a bunch of different people, and I think they went under. It's a tattered, sad history of Turok, man. Them and like a Dino Crisis. When are we getting more dinosaur games?
If Jurassic World was a better franchise, we probably would have. But
we got Ark,
mediocre run. So
should we just start playing Ark, bro?
Nah, I'm good.
Would you play another Turok or Dino Crisis if they dropped one?
100%. I've actually never played through Dino Crisis. That's on my list to play. This game. It's actually
kind of like
it's Resident Evil, but
more jump scary Resident Evil. Yeah, I was gonna say. It's like Resident Evil with more jump scares.
Dino Crisis 2 was just like a straight action game too. Like with
they went insane. Like they went to the future in the last Dino Crisis.
Dino Crisis 3 was apparently terrible. They went to space. You know when your franchise goes to space, it's shit. If it doesn't start off in space.
Your horror franchise goes to outer space. You're out of ideas. Yeah.
Yep. Hellraiser did it. Leprechaun did it. They're gonna have the next Children of the Corn will be Children of the Corn on the moon. moon. So also
There's
that
the moon
franchise went
base,
off
and
the
there's
rails after
children
this
out there
first
in the
movie.
moon dust.
Right, exactly.
You see them out there in the corn,
But yeah, man,
or moon corn.
I think one of the big things that I think the general public is finding is gaming has and film like AAA has been very reliant on existing properties.
Yeah, it's too much money involved. You can't take a risk anymore because like you putting $100 million on the line, you're not gonna be like, well, let's try it out on John's new idea. You're like, nah, bro. How about no? How about we take the thing that we know we could that sold 3 million copies back in the day? How about we try that?
Yeah.
I mean, you see the same thing with like comic books as well, where they're like they don't want to push like the image, where they're like, oh, we're gonna become an indie book publisher, and they're like, yeah, how about we stop taking as many risks and like we're only taking people who sell stuff, and that's all we're pushing. Like you can't afford to take any risks, like when you like have such paper thin margins on things, and like the time to make something takes so long too. So it's like it might be a good idea, but then like whatever the idea gets taken right by somebody else, like the climate changes or whatever, for the temperature of the market shifts completely. I don't know. Yeah, I hate people just chasing like whatever's hot right now too, though. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So
I'd say that for the comic industry, people are like, "Oh, it's a dying industry. Print media is dead." Blah blah blah. Right? It's been doing very well for itself, being a farm for Hollywood for ideas.
yeah,
And also like the game space has done it too. Like the Darkness started off.
This
as
is
a
the
comic
problem though. It's
series,
like a bunch of carpetbaggers have gone into the industry and they're like, I just want my movie script. That's a bad movie script, so I want them to like make it a comic book so I can show that to a producer and then they'll make it. It's like, no, bro, like just make a good story first. Like,
right?
like instead of being like, how can I sell this? I don't. And people like accuse like some of the best writers like Mark Millar and stuff, where they're like, oh, you just want to make like a movie script publishing house at this point for your storyboards, and like I don't know, Kick Ass was all right. It's okay,
Yeah,
whatever. He does good books. Like, you just hating because he wants to be outside of the big two and make his own ideas, you know?
Yeah. I mean, did Mark Miller did he was like the main writer for Civil War, right? That was like the last time he'd worked for Marvel, I want to say.
Sure, yeah,
I
that
think.
sounds about right. Did like a big
Yeah.
Deadpool release and it did all right, and people are like, all right, what's your next thing? It's like, I'm gonna do my own thing, guys. I mean, that's what started Image, right? It was like they're looking at like the books and they're like, these books are selling so good because we're on them, and they're like, no, it's because Spider-Man's on them. And so they're like, all right, then we'll peace out. We're gonna do our own thing. We'll show you.
Well,
So,
he did Kingsman. Kingsman's a franchise
yeah,
that just kind of wrapped up recently. So I mean,
he does a lot of stuff, and they become movies, and that's why people are like, you just are storyboarding your movies, man. He's like, no, I'm writing good stories, and also people want to, they're like,
it's like Chrononauts is not becoming a movie. I can guarantee that.
it might, bro.
But back to the gaming front, man. There's been we've been talking for quite a bit on Duke Nukem, but I did want to touch on this a little bit with the time we have left. Excuse me.
Coffee, all right.
We mentioned, yeah. I drank all the water already. We mentioned quite a bit in the pod of kind of what the future holds for digital rights management, things like that. And Ubisoft, I swear, they are always the ones who are doing the wrong thing. From making NFT games, from their monetization practices, from their even game developing practices.
I mean,
They just keep making wrong decisions.
All the big
for the
gaming companies are doing it, right? They're just
Ubisoft's
at the forefront.
They're out there, and they're just
they're putting their nuts on the line, dude.
They're the ones who trip and fall first, before everyone else tries it. If they like stumble, someone else will try it. But if they fall, no one else will try it.
Yeah, they seem right. Like it's tough, man, because you want to be innovative as well. But it also seems
Ubisoft.
I mean, trying new stuff is innovative. Like this new monetization schemes, like they are trying different monetization schemes. Like you could say, like, sure, it's like profit first, but like profit funds the engine that will create like your art. So it's whatever they can do to mitigate more risk so they can make new IP and try new things. Like, like somebody's got to be out there trying it.
So,
Uh,
so here's what happened.
That's the best possible light to see see what they do.
I love how
It's
you're
like
forcing yourself to play devil's advocate to see a good thing that Ubisoft is doing. Let me tell you the shit that they pulled.
all right, let's hear what's going on.
They're ending online services for a bunch of their games, including the last Splinter Cell Blacklist, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. I think there's another older what's that? Sun and Strike 4.
Does it mean like their service so like you won't be able to play online or download the game? Or
that's what I thought. They also
Yeah.
announced ending support for the DLC that requires online services, including the authorization to play said DLC. So
What's
DLC
the
that
solution though,
purchased,
right? Like you can't run these old ass servers indefinitely, right?
give it to the fans.
Yeah, like that's
Every other game dev has done this. They've just given it to the fans.
they're like, here's how to run a
to
server,
manufacture.
here's the client,
Yep.
here's the server.
Yep.
Enjoy.
Yep. Or in terms of this is the big thing that the DLC you won't be able to play anymore, right? You won't.
I'm still waiting on the Rayman engine, dude.
DLC and continue the game like later on in life. Nope, that's just going to be gone forever. So here is the solution. Before you decide to turn off all the online shit, you release a patch that is always authorized, right? You just have to have that patch and then it always works. But Ubisoft, instead of, doing something for the fans or people who bought their game, they're like, nah, we're just turning it off and you're fucked. The other big thing is
how much of it is possible though, like from their engineering side? Like you have to assume a lot of, are you sure about
if
that?
it's an authorization model, you just have to turn it on. It's just looking for a check, dude.
All
like
right.
the content exists.
What about like licensing, especially with like cross-platform stuff? Because it's always already a sticky wicket. So it's like maybe
none of their stuff's cross-platform.
Okay, so it's all off their servers that they own.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they just don't want to deal with it.
They just don't want to do it.
They just want to flip off that token.
The other big thing, so I'm like, okay, that's pretty shitty, right? And then I'm reading further. They're also removing games from the store. Games you've already purchased are just gone. Will be gone from your library. Unless you purchased a physical copy of this, it's just fucking gone. So if you really liked Assassin's Creed Liberation, or maybe you want to go through the entire series and Liberation HD is on your list, you better play that shit now or find a pirated version, because that shit's gonna be gone. There's gonna be no legal means to get that game.
I mean, somebody had to be the first, right? To close down their platforms and deal with like the ownage issues.
This was what I was worried about, and what I warned people about that could happen with switching everything to digital. Is what's stopping these publishers from just saying, no, you can't have it anymore. You paid for the right to have it, and we're revoking that right. So your money's out the window. Like say that's your favorite game ever. You can't play it anymore outside of pirating it, or maybe if you happen to find, or the game actually got released on physical media, so you can actually install it still. But it's such a bad precedent to set. Like, what the fuck is Ubisoft doing, dude? Like,
somebody had to be the first, bro. I'm glad it was Ubisoft. Like, eventually this was going to happen, right? Like, these older games, like, servers were going to go down. Like, people were going to stop supporting them. Like,
that happens to this day, but at no point did people retroactively pull shit and go, yeah, you bought it, no more.
Yeah, but like, I mean, that's good old games and stuff. They're like trying to breathe new life into like older franchises and stuff. But like, what happens when good old games goes down? Because eventually it'll happen, right? What happens when Steam goes down? Like, at some point in the future, like the way we deal with like web and internet traffic will change so dramatically. Like even like how people have to like run
what happens there
with like DOSBox and stuff. Like you have to find your good old games. You have to find like a way to like run a ROM or whatever. Like, and like companies aren't stepping in and stopping people from doing ROMs and stuff. I mean, Nintendo and sometimes Sega, but most of the time companies are like, yeah, whatever. Like we understand people are out there doing this stuff, but like it's a way to preserve like gaming history. And like, we're not going to go in there. Like even like Vanilla WoW, they let them do that forever until they're like, oh, we're going to launch it. Send them the cease and desist. We're going to relaunch it. They're making money. We could be making that money. So until there's like a monetary incentive for like these major corporations to like keep all these older games alive because like they sold it to you once. They're not making more money off Assassin's Creed Liberation. They put it on sale for like $5, dude. Everybody who wanted to buy that game bought that game. Like,
but they put it on sale. So it was a part of the Steam sale for, like you said, $5, and it's gonna be gone from stores.
The old bait and switch, dude.
Yeah, dude. They literally got your $5. Then they're like, "Yeah, you don't have this game anymore." They literally stole money from your pocket, dude.
I mean, Capcom kind of just did the same thing as well, where they sold all of their old games, like your Kane Legacy, the early Lara Croft and stuff, and then they sold off all those.
That's Square. That's
Square Enix.
Yeah.
Is that Square? All right. 100%. Yeah, Square did the same thing. Square Enix, where they're like,
here's all. At no point did Square say you can't play these games ever again. They sold them to get the last bit of profit from that, and then they sold the IPs to other people. Those old games are still available to be played.
Yeah, but it's being maintained by Steam. But like if Square had like their own servers, they would have did the same shit. They're like, oh, you can't access anymore. We sold off the IP. Now you have to go figure it out when they, run their servers or whatever. And they're like, well, does this transfer over? Like, what's going on with that? And they're like, we don't know. That's not our problem anymore, kid. Good luck.
But it didn't rely on authorization like that. You know, it's like the multiplayer. It would just be, either Steam run or just, like direct IP connection, stuff like that. It would still be, the major point is it would still be playable. It's like that. That's only because it's like a third party. It would, like all the GameStop. Like, remember GameSpy? Like a lot of games in the early 2000s used GameSpy servers. GameSpy closed down. You know what happened? Fans came out and just released their own shit because GameSpy was like, hey, this is ending, but here's all the shit to keep these games running. So all these games you can still play online, dude. I can still jump in and play SWAT 4 right fucking now, even though it uses
Quake 1 right
servers.
now, buddies.
Quake 1 uses Quake World, though. Let's be honest. Quake World's still up and running. But like, I think you're glossing over the fact that Ubisoft is against their consumers, dude. They're clearly against preservation. They're against like consumers enjoying their product, man.
Trying to make money, bro. Like, what's nothing wrong with that? This is like you own nothing, dude. Like, right? This is part of the end user agreement. Like, this is the horrible future we all signed up for. This is why I was against Half-Life being online back in the day, where I was like, I'm going to take a principled stand. Everyone's like, you're an old man yelling at the moon. These servers will be up forever, asshole. Who cares if you don't own a physical copy of the CD? I'm like, they're not printing CDs. You have to be online.
They did print CDs for Half-Life 2.
Yeah, back in the day. But it's like, you have to be online to activate it, but I bought the CD. This is fucking bullshit. What if I don't have the internet? This was when we had the outrage with the no disk drive with Xbox, where it's like, you have to always be online. And people are like, how dare you? I want my disc. I need a disk drive. And then they rolled it back. They're like, oh, never mind. LOL, JK. We're going to put a disk drive back in there. People have been fighting until they're not fighting anymore. Like, now I got my Xbox Series S and it doesn't have a disk drive, and there was nobody upset about it. But they're like, oh, you can get the X version that has the disk drive. We're giving you the option, the freedom of both choices. But all their games have moved online as well with Xbox Pass. What happens when they decide, like, never mind, we're done with the games division? Because they've said that before, where it's like, it's not really that profitable for them, like their entire Xbox game division. So there's been talk about like killing the Xbox altogether for years. That's been
rumor and speculation based on the Azure platform.
It's going to be Xbox Pass, bro. Like, it's not going to be a physical
saying they're going to end it,
but it might. Right? Like if you look at like the margins and profit wise, where they're like, who cares about this anymore? So you might get rid of like the physical console, but like, at what point do they like start getting rid of physical servers as well? Because they're just so old and dated. And then they're like, we're not moving things over, whatever. Like, maybe at some point we'll re-release this stuff on our new storefront. You can buy it all again, baby. And anybody who bought it, it would have been 20, 30 years ago anyway. We don't care about you. You're probably old or dead. Like you don't own your digital library. Like, we're not gonna be able to give it to our kids. Like, it's an ethereal thing.
So let me end the pod on this one here. I'm glad you mentioned that. There is actually legislation in the UK right now for digital rights beneficiaries. So your digital library can be given to like a beneficiary of your choice. Yeah, transferred over. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
so
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, because I remember
it
this
does
with
make
like,
it makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
it's
but like everything's tied to that account, right? So I don't know. Like I had like these super rare Fortnite skins, but I don't play Fortnite anymore. And people were like, "Hey man, would you sell that account to me?" I'm like, I have other shit on there though that I want. Like even though I don't
yeah.
play Fortnite, like I have other games out here I want. Like it would be nice if they had like a marketplace like Steam where I could sell stuff. But yeah, because they're like, how much for that skin? Because I'm willing to give you like $50, $60 for it. And I'm like, bro, like all the shit on my like Epic Games store, like it's probably closer to like $2,000 or $3,000 just
Yeah.
because of like everything I use on there. So you'd have to buy everything to get your stupid Fortnite skin, bro. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, and have no legal way to transfer that over to you anyway. So I have to hopefully assume that you won't rob
You
me.
break Eula from doing that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm an outlaw, dude.
Right. But I mean, that's a future thing that's real, you know, because
Yeah.
we talk about like games are probably the easiest thing to have like say, oh, I own this digitally, right? But that applies to every other thing too. Like the music industry has switched basically to a streaming model, but you can still buy MP3s, right?
Yeah,
You
people out
can
here
still
making records. You can buy a vinyl record right
Yep,
now.
yep. So, in movies, there's a huge digital library of movies you can have. Like a lot of Blu-rays and stuff come with like a digital code to watch your movie you own online as well.
Yeah,
So, you know, like there's definitely a precedent for owning digital rights. Also, what happens to like if you're subscribed to Adobe Cloud, right? What happens when you die and like someone else wants to use your subscription, or you're like, hey, this project has to be complete, like you you're just fucked, you know,
yeah, man.
like I think
Should have got the corporate key.
transfer right exactly, like transfer of rights is actually something that needs to happen in the industry,
Yeah,
and I think this
it's
is
only going to
just
happen through
the first step.
litigation. Like it's only
It
going to happen
has
when
to, yeah.
people come to sue Ubisoft for walling off their games. They're like, "Hey, man, I don't have
Yeah,
access to all
yeah.
these games. We're gonna have to class action lawsuit you into like figuring it out."
Right.
Like
So
courts,
yeah,
that's
that's it.
the only. It's weird because they have means for like bankruptcy as well. Like so, like if a company closes down, like something happens with like the rights that they own for like certain games and stuff, like somebody will come out like at the other end owning that. Hopefully, like
Yep,
some usually like
yep,
a
because
creditor or
it's a
something.
liquidation sale, yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's nothing like on the other end of it. So this is
Yep.
we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. All right, brother.
Lawsuit City, boys.
I think that concludes today's pod.
Yeah.
Good shit, dude. Good shit.
You own nothing and be happy. It's the
I'll
new
let,
world order.
I'll let Chip's pessimism sign us off here. So I'm Mr. Gimpy.
Chipmunk, pirate what you can when you can
It's the
before they
Combo
put
Wumbo.
chips in you.
It's the Combo
We
Wumbo
out.
podcast.
Peace.
We're out of here. Later.